I hope you enjoyed part one. This is just a continuation of part two. The fourth, and I talk about these two, time and financial freedom, because we want this business to be sustainable. We don't want something that you're going to be not kind of miserable, not happy with day to day. Time is the only constant in the equation of these five freedoms, where we all have 24 hours in a day. It's what we do in those 24 hours that really makes all the difference.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the Franchise Guide.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom via franchising. Thanks for joining us today. This is part two of the series, The 5 Freedoms of Franchise Ownership. Stealing from Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. So I hope you enjoyed part one. This is just a continuation of part two. Now, the fourth, and I talk about these two, time and financial freedom, quite a bit. So looking at financials now, some people, they come in and just say, with financials, I want to make as much as I'd like, right? It's my business. It's what you get, what you put into the business. And just like with any business, there's always a risk, right? There's the upfront capital, there's the time commitment to the business itself. But sticking with financials, so there's always that risk, but then there's that reward, right? How do we, invest a couple $100,000 in a home service space and really grow this to a nice exit where we're getting a multiple on your earnings, on seller discretionary earnings. And some people, when they look at these freedoms, they prioritize financials as number one, and that's okay. If financials are the only thing you're aiming for, I would take a step back and say, well, what else is important? Because we want this business to be sustainable. We don't want something that you're going to be not kind of miserable, not happy with day to day. But the financials are going to be extremely important, right? What you can make from this business, and the way I look at a franchise is that or just about any business, is that you're putting in the time up front, you're making that financial investment for it to pay dividends down the road. So really spending the extra time up front, the capital, setting up, getting the right people in place, spending the money on the franchise fee and the CRMs and the marketing up front to really hit the ground running day one when you launch that business. With financials, there's lots of great tax advantages you can get. One of them being you're able to put a lot more aside in a simple IRA, SEP IRA, in some cases a solo 401k or even just a regular 401k, where you're able to put larger amounts aside. And with that, you are able to help your staff and employees by creating this retirement plan where maybe there's a match in place and you're putting a percentage back of whatever they're putting in. So you're really helping individuals. So, that financials ties back in many cases to, purpose. You're helping other individuals. You're creating jobs within your community. So this is when one freedom ties in with another. And obviously you need money to be able to afford hiring people, and let alone setting up a 401k. But it ties back to promotions and things like that, where you're giving someone the ability to start a ground floor of a franchise business and maybe become a general manager, or they start off as a general manager and they're become part owner, whether it be phantom equity, the cut of the profits, or underlying equity. These are options that you can give, and they basically they tie back the financials to purpose. And so we covered financials, location, purpose, people, and the last one is, I think, in my opinion, one of the most important, right? We're looking into business ownership for these 5 freedoms. And I believe time is the most important. Time is the only constant in the equation, of these 5 freedoms, where we all have 24 hours in a day, billionaires, millionaires, people making minimum wage, and everyone in between. We all have celebrities, entrepreneurs, you name it. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So it's what we do in those 24 hours that really makes all the difference. And I truly believe, having all the money in the world to be able to afford yachts and cars and things like that and homes, if you're working 100+ hours a week, you're just unable to really enjoy it. So I think time is the one that really stands out for me. I know in the beginning of the journey, my why was to spend more time with my kids, also make some money, but time really stood out because it's pointless to work all these hours when you can't really enjoy the fruits of your labor, to enjoy the money and everything that comes along with it. And then, you start to realize as you get older that it's the memories that are most important. So time being, the number one constant, the way I look at it is, how do I make the investment? I always say put the least amount of money up front. And if I can leverage my investment, maybe with an SBA loan or something along those lines, and put in a lot of hours up front to get my team up and running, get the systems in place, get the marketing rolling so that, we got the right people. There may need to be a change here and there or a tweak on the marketing, but we got some great people so that I do have the time to travel more, and that would be location. So I can go to Europe and manage from afar. That purpose part of the equation. Maybe it's not the business, but maybe I start my own charity or, what have you. It could be anything in your community, and really get to enjoy, working with certain people. I think time is one of the biggest pieces to it. And I think that's, one of the areas that when you're analyzing these various vehicles, and these are, once again, the 5 freedoms that business ownership and the things that people are looking for, all 5 when owning a business, and in different priority order, but time being the constant, to have this extra time to be able to do the things you want when you want. You're not, your time is not dictated. I got to be in the office. Well, you just remove location freedom because you got to, like I did, 2.5 hours, 5-hour round trip commute into New York City. That location freedom was ripped away. The time freedom was ripped away. I had to be there 40 hours a week, and then the commute back varied. It could have been 5. It was closer to 6 hours if it was in the summer due to the shore traffic. No people freedom, as I mentioned before. Financial freedom. We didn't even have financial freedom. We had a base salary, and commissions were pretty much fixed. They figured out a way to adjust the commission structure, so we really didn't make much more year after year. In many cases, or my last job, I actually made less. The 3 years there, less every year, bringing in more revenue every year. So the time piece, I think, is crucial, and that's going to lead to some future episodes where we talk about the various other vehicles when it comes to, okay, we talked about business, and these are the things we're looking for, these 5 freedoms, which again are financial, time, location, purpose, and people you work with, but also, this idea of what other opportunities are out there. People come to me and say, well, I'm looking at a franchise or real estate, which is better. And, first off, there's going to be lots of different options as there are with franchising, but with real estate, it's going to be a lot more passive, right? What is your true time commitment? Are you going to have a management company managing the day-to-day? Is it a real estate syndication deal, which are investments I've made in the past, where there's someone kind of managing the day-to-day, and you're really just getting monthly reporting and not much involvement. But what is your return? What is your control in the business? Is that going to be your main source of income, or is this just a way to diversify a little bit? So each investment, each vehicle, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, if you have a financial advisor, maybe not a lot of time commitment, but what control do you have? Stock market, I don't understand it anymore, and I worked in the industry for many years. So we're gonna bring professionals on that are gonna go into more detail in those areas. So I'm really excited to dive into those areas. We're gonna bring in some guests. We're having a few people scheduled as we speak. But these 5 freedoms are really kind of sums up why we're doing this. Business ownership, there's a risk. There's a lot of work involved, but I think if you put the time and the investment and have that buffer, if business takes a little bit longer to scale, I think you're setting yourself up as much as you can for success and creating this time to enjoy and do the things you really enjoy doing. What's the point of traveling if you can't even be present in your travels, if you're glued to your email all day long? So we're putting all these things in place. I believe in diversification. I put my money where my mouth is, right? I diversify. I'm in stock market. I've had franchise businesses, my consulting business. We do real estate syndication along with other private investments. So I do like to diversify while focusing on my core business model, my core business. And, really at the end of the day, if you follow Warren Buffett, who, as you know, I'm a big fan of Warren and Charlie Munger, and they talk about, obviously the number one rule of investing is not to lose money. And number two is don't forget rule number one. But the biggest thing is you don't have to be invested in everything. You don't have to be invested in every type of cryptocurrency or commodities and things like that. Really focus on your core competency, really invest in the things that you understand and really appreciate. And the rest is history. You don't have to have FOMO, fear of missing out because you're not invested in Bitcoin or some type of crypto. So really take advantage of your skill sets. What are your transferable skill sets? What do you enjoy doing? And what is the time commitment that you want to put towards these different vehicles, as well as the financial, right? Sometimes time commitment's low, but the investment's $1 million. Well, that may be double what you wanted to invest. That's a future endeavor, but really getting focused. So, at the end of the day, it's good to really put these vehicles side by side, trying to figure out what you want to accomplish. And I'll be more than glad to help you figure out which is the best fit for you. I always say it doesn't have to be one. It could be a combination, as I do. I invest my money in retirement, and that retirement, part of that is in the stock market because I believe in diversification, but I double down on my core competency, which is my core business. So I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to have some great episodes to come. We're bringing on people that have opened up their own franchise, people we've worked with together. We're going to talk about these different vehicles. That's going to be a lot of fun. And, great. I want to hear your feedback. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's a topic you'd like for me to discuss. And thanks again for all your support. We really appreciate it. And talk to you guys soon. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.